600 wins, 6 Georgia State championships, 16 regional championships, 2-time National Coach of the Year, first team from Georgia to win the City of Palms Classic, the nation's #1 high school tournament, first team in Georgia history to attend the Dick's Sporting Goods National Tournament of Championships. He's produced numerous NBA players and professional basketball players all over the world. It's real basketball talk. It's real help and real life with Coach Doug Lipscomb on the BG Podcast Network. Real Life Basketball is brought to you by the all-new 2018 K900 at Carriage Kia of Woodstock and Gainesville. Buy your new K900 from Carriage Kia and we'll fly you in or come pick you up for delivery. Visit carriagekia.com 24/7, 365 days a year. For America's best deal on the K900, call Chris Stanford directly at 1-866-333-2122. That's 1-866-333-2122.
This is DeQuan Jones. You're listening to Real Life Basketball.
And welcome once again to Real Life Basketball, Friday's edition. Coach's Corner, Darren Sutherland with the legend Doug Lipscomb. Doug, how you doing today, my man?
Great.
Boy, I tell you what, listeners all over the world are listening to Real Life Basketball.
That's
Do you know that?
That's good.
Sweden? When we going to get? We got to figure out who's in Sweden. Whoever's in Sweden, contact us on Facebook. Go to Real Life Basketball. Is it Sweden or Finland, Nick?
Sweden.
Sweden.
2 listeners a day.
2 listeners a day. United Kingdom. France, Coach. And we've had some great coaches on in the past, haven't we, Coach Doug?
Yes.
Got some greater coaches coming on. And as the season ends, we'll have probably some bigger names. I got somebody we're probably going to have on in the next couple of weeks that I ain't even told you about yet. You know who it is?
Who is that?
You remember this fella's name? Wimp Sanderson.
Oh, yeah.
You know Wimp?
Oh, yeah. He was famous for the coats.
Coats.
Yeah.
Kind of like old Lindsey, what's his name? Lindsey Nelson, the old football announcer at Tennessee, you know, that sort of thing. But today we're interviewing a buddy of yours out at Grayson High School in Gwinnett County. And the basketball, I know this is state playoff times here in Georgia. But Grayson put it on our buddy, George Wallace and Pellbrook, and they're in the Final Four. And the basketball center of the world's in Grayson, in Gwinnett County right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah, they're rolling right now.
Grayson, Norcross. Who's in the Final Four right now? You know?
You got Grayson playing Meadow Creek.
Okay.
And then you have Newton playing North Cross. 3
out of the 4 schools come from Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County, Georgia is the 7A sports capital of the world. Look at football, look at basketball. Cobb, you can say what you want, and we 2 Cobb County guys, but we got to keep it real, Coach.
Yes, we do.
Got to keep it real. Gwinnett County keeps pushing it out. Cobb County, I think, does a better job publicizing, but Gwinnett County keeps it winning. I know my buddy John Weir will like me saying that, but it's the truth. It's the truth. So let's go to our interview with Coach Geoffrey Pierce of Grayson High School on the Carriage Automotive Group Skyline.
Come see the Carriage family and experience the Carriage difference.
Kia is keeping it real with the all-new 2018 K900. Drive the car LeBron James drives and other NBA players call their preferred vehicle of choice. And right now, Carriage Kia of Woodstock and Gainesville has your new K900 ready for delivery. Go online, handle everything, then upon completion, we will fly you in to pick up your new K900 or deliver it directly to you. Call Chris Stanford directly at 1-866-333-2122. That's 1-866-333-2122. Ask for Chris Stanford, Carriage Kia, 24/7, 365 days a year at carriagekia.com.
Come see the Carriage family and experience the Carriage difference.
And welcome back to Real Life Basketball on the Carriage Automotive Group Skyline. Let's go out to, I guess it's southeast Gwinnett County, right out there on the Walton County line, just north of DeKalb County, northeast DeKalb County, or northeast Rockdale County. And folks, we just call it the center of the basketball universe in the state of Georgia right now, Gwinnett County. Let's go out to Grayson High School and talk to Coach Geoffrey Pierce. Coach Pierce, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, and welcome to Real Life Basketball. Coach Doug, Geoffrey, I got to ask you this question before we get started.
I knew he was coming.
And I always do this, okay? You've been coaching basketball for some time now. Give me a story or the first recollection, whether you was in high school as a player perhaps, because I can tell from talking to you, you're younger than I am. So if you're younger than I am, you're much younger than Coach Doug Lipscomb over here. Give me your first recollection of Coach Doug and what you think of Coach Doug and what he's meant to basketball in the state of Georgia and the nation in high school basketball. Keep it real now.
If you played high school basketball in the last 20 years in the state of Georgia, coached out here, you know all about Coach Lip. Some of the things he did at Wheeler, he was very successful. I think most coaches coming up, kind of look at Coach Lip and the success he had at Wheeler. It's kind of something to strive for when you're coming up trying to get started. It was longevity. Like in this day and age where everybody wants stuff to happen quick or whatnot, the things he was able to do and sustain it over a long period of time is pretty remarkable. Always in the highest classification. Like I don't think people realize how hard it is, to win one state tournament basketball game as opposed to, winning several in a row to win a state championship. It's just pretty remarkable what he was able to do it in his time at Wheeler.
Well, thank you, Coach. First of all, I want to make sure I welcome you to our Coach's Corner because we only want the best on here. So we've had nothing but the best. Yep. So, Coach, let me ask you this right here. Let's move forward, and let me ask you this: how did you get into coaching high school basketball?
It's funny, I played in high school, played in Gwinnett County at Central Gwinnett. I had a teacher. His name was Bob Jackson. He was my econ teacher, and he used to always tell me, because he used to come in the gym and watch us at practice or whatnot, or watch me around the school, and he was like, "Man, you do a good job leading. I think teaching and coaching might be something you want to get into later on." And at the time I wasn't really trying to go that route, but once I graduated from college I started coaching AAU basketball with Coach Dickerson. They're with the Celtics. Buck Jenkins, he's the coach at Riverwood now. That was my first coaching gig, and then after the first year it was like, man, I really enjoy doing this. Not only the competition, but just, working with kids, like I tell folks all the time, like my parents are very involved, but, the things you learn from coaches, coming up, that was very vital to, my success as an adult. Even though my parents were involved, the coaches were very vital to what I'm doing now. So, so once I decided I wanted to get into it, it just so happened my econ teacher from high school was the principal at Meadow Creek. So I was able to get my first teaching and coaching gig through there, and that was 12 years ago. This is my 6th year at Grayson. So that's how I got into it.
Coach, growing up, so you graduated from Central Gwinnett. Did you grow up in Lawrenceville in Gwinnett County?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said you went to Meadow Creek. Lord, what am I thinking, Doug? He said he coached about it. You graduated from Central Gwinnett, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So did you grow up playing basketball in Lawrenceville in the Gwinnett County area?
I actually moved out here with my mom my freshman year in high school during my summer of my freshman year, and started at Central my 10th grade year. So
okay.
that was when I started playing out here.
So what year was that? 2007?
I graduated from high school in 2000.
So you graduated in 98, sometime like that. Okay, now we're fast forwarded 20 years basically. How has high school basketball changed, not only in Gwinnett County, but in the state of Georgia, in just your 20 years of being around it, between looking at what's going on when you played to what went on when you graduated and started coaching to when you were coached at Meadow Creek to now your time at Grayson? How has things changed?
It's more specialized. Like, more kids are training outside of the season. More kids are playing travel ball. There weren't that many AAU programs around when I was in high school, and even like 10 years ago, like there were more than when I was in high school 10 years ago. But now it seems like there's so many AAU teams, so many trainers. Everybody's trying to play and get better. And I think the talent boom in regards to, graduating classes going on to play college basketball out of not only Gwinnett County, but the state of Georgia. I think that's a result of the increase in the amount of off-season training and, travel ball, things of that nature. I think that's the biggest difference. It's just more popular.
Coach, you came from, make sure I got your background right. You were at Meadow Creek, head coach at Meadow Creek. You go to Grayson, okay? For the folks that know Gwinnett County and for the folks that know Metro Atlanta and state of Georgia basketball and know athletic programs, you basically, for lack of a better word, and this is no throw off on Meadow Creek whatsoever, but you basically went from, for lack of a better word, if we were going to compare it to the SEC, you basically went from a University of Georgia type program to a Kentucky type program, okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's the difference at coaching at a Meadow Creek and what you deal with at Meadow Creek and coaching at Grayson High School?
My 6 years at Meadow Creek, I worked under Billy Davis. We won a couple region championships. I think the biggest difference between coaching at Meadow Creek and Grayson was when I first got out here. I don't think, no disrespect to the players, but I don't like, it was more so teaching them how to compete. You know what I mean? They'd show up and want to play in the game. They'd want to win, but I don't think they really understood, having to compete the full 32 minutes, having to compete in practice every day, having to compete in the off season. Like, they just want to show up and play. You know what I mean? And
if I call it like it is, you went to a football school, for lack of a better term. Would you not say that?
Absolutely.
Not? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
So,
go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Coach.
No, I was just going to say that was just the biggest thing. The first couple of years we were out here was just teaching them how to compete the full 32, and then once kids know how to compete, you can kind of show them the ways to win. Close games, blowouts, whatever. Got to play the full 32.
And here's another thing, Coach. Aren't you playing Meadow Creek Saturday?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead. Doug,
I was just going to say, ever since I've left, I've kept up with Meadow Creek. That time there, the people you meet and work with, the kids you worked with, like, I still keep in touch with a lot of my former players and students. In fact, my JV coach played for me at Meadow Creek. He graduated in 2010. He was my point guard. Those were good times, man. They basically raised me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Coach, please understand, I wasn't throwing off on Meadow Creek. What I was saying about Meadow Creek is it's a different culture and a different socioeconomic climate at a place like Meadow Creek compared to Grayson. Would you not agree?
No, absolutely.
And that's what I was trying to portray. It's kind of like if you're in Cobb County, Doug, going from, I don't know, who would you compare it? Because Grayson is a lot like McEachern in a roundabout way.
most definitely.
I mean, real close to it. So who in Cobb would you kind of compare? Meadow Creek to, as far as socioeconomic stance and that sort of thing?
Well, athletically, I think South Cobb would compare to them because
South
they're
Cobb, Campbell,
loaded.
something of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I was getting at. You know, I know there's some great folks at Meadow Creek. What did you do?
I get it.
Yeah. What did you do at Meadow Creek, Coach, to prepare you for what you're doing at Grayson right now?
I tell folks all the time, man. Billy, Coach Davis, he kind of let me, like he let me try a lot of things in practice and during the games and stuff. You know, some of it worked, some of it didn't, but you know, he was always supportive of what I was trying to do, and that kind of accelerated my learning curve. A lot of the things that I did well going into the situation at Grayson, I can kind of be thankful to Billy for letting me, you know, kind of help run his program. I'll always be thankful to him for that because it kind of, like I said, it accelerated my learning curve. I was better equipped for the situation I walked into because Coach Davis kind of gave me some freedom at practice and then games, game prep, things like that. So.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this. Being in this business for so long, I'm going to ask you, being a younger coach, tell me the things that get on your nerves, basically, that you don't like.
Like, all right, probably the biggest thing is, and don't get me wrong, these type of parents are in the minority, you know, but sometimes parents misconstrue business decisions. Like every decision I make for my basketball program is for the benefit of the basketball program as a whole and to try to win basketball games. So sometimes parents might look at their kids' lack of playing time and perceive that as, you know, I don't like their kid or whatever. Like it's personal, but it's strictly business. You know what I mean? Like I might. Like if a kid can help me win a basketball game and he's going hard in practice, he's staying out of trouble during the day and getting his schoolwork done, he's gonna play. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing personal. Like I've got 15 kids on my roster. I like all of them. You know what I mean? But you know, some play more than others. But that's for the benefit of the program as a whole. The Grayson basketball program's gonna be there. Once their kids graduate, once they move, heck, if I move on, you know what I mean? The Grayson basketball program's still going to be there. So it's my job to kind of try to leave it in better shape than what I found it with. You know what I mean? And the best way to do that is, you know, winning basketball games.
Well, I think you don't do that.
But, Coach, for all intensive purposes, you know, we talked about this a while ago. You've built the Grayson basketball program for all intensive purposes. And I say this to pat you on the back. You are to Grayson basketball what Mickey Conn was to Grayson football. Would you take those accolades at this point of your career?
I mean, I'd appreciate it, but you know, I got you know, we found some success, but I think I got to. You know, Mickey won a lot of region championships. He's got a state title. You know, we you know, I see what you're saying, but
you know, you went into a situation a lot of great coaches will not go into, and you went to a football school. Okay, think about this.
Right.
You go into a football school, and let me tell you something. Grayson, comparing Grayson football to McEachern football isn't fair because Grayson's got state titles. Okay, McEachern ain't won state titles, so your job was a little harder going into Grayson because you're having to build a basketball program with a legend standing there coaching on the sidelines every Friday night. How was that? Was that a tough thing to do when you went over there? Because winning is the culture.
Right, absolutely. It was easier than probably you'd think. You know, I did my research on the job before I even applied. You know, I think it was like 102 games under 500. Like,
right.
And the school opened in 2001. So, you know, you can kind of do the math on that. But like you said, a lot of the other sports programs, they had a winning culture. So when I came in, they embraced me. Coach Khan, I really didn't, he was real helpful. And, if we had multiple sport athletes, he let them come see me before tryouts or whatnot, just so we could have an idea of who was going to try out, so we could kind of like leave spots open just in case they were good enough to make the team. He was real helpful in that regard. You hear horror stories about football coaches not wanting to share their players and all that, but Coach Khan, he was real helpful with me coming into that situation. I will say that.
Well, I definitely want to make sure I recognize what you've done over there. And last time I played against you, we got beat at the buzzer. But, okay, I asked you what you didn't like about the game. Tell me one of the things or some of the things that inspire you to keep going that you definitely like.
The kids, man, they, I think like a lot of coaches like hearing different things. They'd be like, "Oh, your kids are so well coached and all that." But my greatest feeling is when somebody tells me, "Man, your kids play so hard." You know what I mean? And you see them lay it out on the line for you day in and day out. And you go in the locker room after a win and you see their excitement and things of that nature. It just feels good, and you just feel good about helping putting them into a position of success. At the end of the day, like Coach Lip, like we can come up with great scouting reports and game plans and all that. But at the end of the day, man, the players got to go out and make plays.
Yes.
When the money's on the line. So when they're able to do that, I get more joy from that than any coaching accolade I receive or any award or any of that. And like just seeing them, how they react when they're successful, man, it's just a good feeling.
Is your program under extra scrutiny now within the county and within the state because of your impact and your success over the past 6 years, you think?
I will say this year was different just because we're basically ranked the whole season. That really hadn't happened before, so we're getting teams' best shots every night. It was kind of different for us. We went from the 100 to the 100, so to speak. So it was a different feeling. And I'm not gonna lie, it took us we were winning games, but it kind of took us a little bit to adjust to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Teams are jacked up to play you every night, regardless of who you're playing. Like a Tuesday region game versus whoever, they coming in, they treat me like the region championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, along with the non-region schedule we played this year, it prepared us for the state tournament run we're on now. But I think that was the biggest difference this year.
Did Grayson travel in the preseason, play any of these national tournaments or anything like that? And if you did, how'd you do?
We played in Hoopsgiving this year. We played in Jared Cook Classic. We played at Wheeler in the Tournament of Champions. Blue collar basketball on MLK Day. I think somebody tweeted it out. I think we played I think we played. It was either 6 or 7 teams that are still in the Final Four, in whatever classification they're in. So we played against some good teams this year. We're pretty successful.
Coach, this is a question that a lot of folks walk on eggshells when I ask, and I'll ask it anyway. Do private schools have a competitive advantage over schools like Grayson? I'll concentrate it back to football. I once watched IMG Academy play Grayson. They had a stacked team. You're playing local guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you believe nationally that Grayson can compete on the national level with the local guys, but do you believe you're at a competitive disadvantage with other folks, the Mount Verds, Oak Hills of the world, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think depending on the private school, I think they call it, scholarship kids or whatnot. It's easier for them to bring talent in, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I don't really know about competitive disadvantage. I mean, this has been going on for years. The only reason we're talking about it so frequently now is because we're in the social media age. Everybody knows about what's going on, but you know, kids have been transferring to public and private schools for forever. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you know what you signed up for when you're coaching at these schools. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you still got to play though. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter who they have on the roster, those matchups and all that. That's on paper. You still got to go out and play.
It is on paper, but are you at a competitive disadvantage with certain schools?
In some situations, yeah, but on the flip side of that, you know, you might run up on a team where this is going to sound crazy, but maybe they have too much talent and it doesn't mesh, right? So folks don't know their role. So maybe now they're at a competitive disadvantage when they play you. You got maybe not as good of talent, but you've got what you need to compete. You know what I mean? You might have, you know what I mean? You obviously don't have as much of a talented roster, but you've got enough to compete, and the chemistry is better. You know, a lot of these,
yes,
you know, a lot of the schools that have the competitive advantage, you know, there's so much turnover with their roster, they don't really have the chemistry in some instances. Now, when they're able to match both up, you know, that's a tough situation to deal with when you got to go play them.
Do you think you ought to play in separate qualifications like Single A does in Georgia?
You know what? I know that's been thrown around some. I think, honestly, we just need to go to, like, some states just do an all-classification tournament.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, we could just do it like that. I'd be with that.
Yeah, that used to be the Indiana.
See who's the real champ. Yeah, like they do in Indiana. I'd like to see that.
Or even at the end of the year, taking the 6 winners and putting them in a bracket and letting them 6 play down. That'd be good, Doug.
Yeah,
what you think about that?
2 at-larges. Yeah, I'd definitely sign up for that. You know, but
I could sell that. What do you
I think that makes too much sense for it to happen.
Not only does that, but you know, you don't lose sight that the GHSA would vote that down because that wouldn't be enough money coming in.
But hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. At that point, now I'm going to ask you 2 guys this question because y'all are 6A guys, okay?
7.
7A, 6A, 5A, whatever. Y'all are the highest classifications. But by playing, let's just call it real, y'all are supposed to win when you play a Green Forest or a Whitfield or a Pace Academy because they're Single A and Double A. Y'all have everything to lose and nothing to gain at that point. Am I right, Coach Pierce? Am I right, Coach Doug?
No, I don't agree.
You don't?
I don't, because just because they're in that school, that don't mean we're supposed to beat them. Because if you can get an I-20, which is a whole nother conversation, that's about 7'2", and you got 2 of them on your team, whereas my biggest guy is 6'4".
Yeah.
I think I got an advantage, especially if that kid can run the floor and play defense. I could use that on any level.
Because I've seen Single A teams in the past, and you have too in the past 10 years, that could have beat a 7A team.
Well, you're also going to drift right on over that to the private school. That's where you're going.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And see at that point, what you're doing is you're showcasing some of your better kids to private school entities and showing them, hey, these St. Francis kids, they can play ball. You follow what I'm saying, Coach? You're on a slippery slope there, one way or another.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a slippery slope. Hey, and a funny question for you here, Coach. And I've heard this. I heard you cut Robert Nicodema, the big defensive tackle. Is that true?
Oh yeah. Hey, listen. He was one of my favorite players to coach at Grayson.
Yeah.
You had to see him in practice. He used to win all the suicides, all the sprints, and he played hard all the time.
What size was he? He's defensive tackle now for Arizona Cardinals. But what size was he playing basketball?
he was every bit of 6'5", 260 something, but it was pure chiseled muscle. He looked like a superhero when he took his shirt off.
So he was a slow Zion Williamson. Is that what you're saying?
No.
I wouldn't say slow. I wouldn't say slow. He was out there dunking on cats. I think he averaged like 13 rebounds a night. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, he's a freak of nature, but he was a good kid, man. My gosh, like, he used to. It was funny because, like, you know, that was around the time he was still being recruited or whatnot. So I don't want to say he was scared to come tell me about, you know, I might miss this for visits, but I had to sit him down like, look, man, this is how you're going to eat when you're an adult, man.
Right.
You go on every visit you can. Just let me know in advance so I can make adjustments to the lineup.
How hard is that for a basketball coach? You've got a player of that magnitude that's a two-sport athlete. You know he's not going basketball to play in college, although he probably could from the way you described him, went and played basketball somewhere. How hard is that for you to make that decision unselfishly as an educator? You want to win, but technically one of your best 7 is not going to be there because he's got to go on a visit. How is that as a coach?
Honestly, you know, I can't speak for every coach, but it's not hard for me at all. Like I said, these kids know what they want to do. I mean, for instance, I got a junior on my team named Kenyon Jackson. He started every game for me since he was a freshman. He's a big-time wide receiver, 4-star wide receiver. He's got offers from everywhere. But, you know, if he wanted to focus on basketball, he'd get basketball offers too. But, you know, he's a big-time wide receiver. Like, I don't have any issue with him missing time because he's going on a visit. Like, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you sit down with these kids and say, hey, look, football's where it's at, or hey, if you concentrate, you know, after your freshman year on basketball, you could make it in basketball. Do you and the football coaches ever sit down with these kids and say, hey, look, play both sports, but you got to choose one or the other because nobody's playing college basketball and college football at the same time anymore?
The most I'll do, like if they have a question, like if they're like, let's say you got a football kid that's thinking about playing, I might show them some stats they put out every NFL draft where I don't know off the top of my head, but more than half of the players that got drafted in the NFL played more than one sport in high school. So, you know, I don't necessarily want to say it helped them get there, but it obviously didn't hurt. But in regards to having them pick a sport to specialize in and all that, I try to let these kids find their own way.
Being at a football school, coming from a basketball school, saying Meadow Creek was a basketball school, do you find that your players are more aggressive defensively on the court from an aggressiveness standpoint, being at a place like Grayson, than coming from a traditional basketball school?
I think they're more aggressive on the glass and things of that nature just because, you know, they're bigger, stronger, more physical. But, you know, those kids at Meadow Creek played extra hard as well. So I think having the football kids, you know, it shores up your front line in basketball for sure. Like, there's other schools that don't have, you know, 6'5" just walking around the building like we do at Grayson. We're able to utilize those.
just walking around, Coach, 6'5". Ain't that crazy?
They're just walking around.
Well,
a buddy of mine came in the other day to see me, and he was like, does he play basketball? I was like, nah. Does he play football? I was like, I don't know. He's like, man, I just got these walking around. I was like, looks like it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who's the best kid you ever coached?
Best kid I ever coached?
Best kid, and it don't have to be a great player, but just the best kid. When somebody says, name a basketball player that you coached, who's the first name that comes to your head? And it can be for more than just basketball talent. It can be academics. It can be where he's at today in this world, the impact he made on your life. Who comes to mind first?
Man, that's tough.
It's supposed to be. Interview.
Oh, man.
You better give him an A1 and an A2 or something like that.
Yeah, you're good. I don't know. At Grayson, my my first all-county kid at Grayson was this kid named Marquise Lanier. He wasn't the most skilled or most athletic, but he came, man, I'm not going to lie to you, I got sick of him calling me to open up the gym for him, but he was literally in the gym every morning working on his game. My second year there was his senior year. We made it to state. We made first team all region, first team all county, led us in scoring, and it wasn't because of, you know, who he played on the circuit with and all that. Like, it was all self-made. He comes to mind. Had a kid a couple years ago named Alfonso Willis. He was the same way, but he was so relentless, man. Like, he might have a game where he only scores like he led us in scoring every year he was on varsity, but even the games he didn't score, like, he lead us in rebounding or he led us in charges taken, stuff like that.
Nice.
I got a couple guards now. They were both all region. Travis and Nick. They're gamers. Austin Dukes. My gosh, I can go down the list.
I always like to hear stories about those kind of kids that aren't maybe in the pipeline or aren't in the system, that rise above what everybody thinks they can do. You follow what I'm saying? Those are the kind of kids I like to hear about, Doug, because, you know, you've coached them before. They come in,
right.
They come in, nobody expects a lot, and then all of a sudden they work their tail off, and it just goes to show you, even in a day when we're in specialized things and kids play basketball all year long, you know, hey, you can still make it if you work hard enough.
Oh yeah. There's no substitute for hard work. We try to tell all our players that, man, because that's a skill you can take into everyday activities once you get into real life. Like, this high school world, they don't a lot of them don't understand, like, this is fantasy. You know, you get out here, go to college, and then you get out in the real world at your parents' house, you know, putting in that work every day is something that can carry them to just being successful parents or being successful employees, you know, things of that nature. So,
Coach Pierce, I'm going to give you a magic wand, okay? I'm going to give you a magic wand.
All right.
You can go to the GHSA and change one rule. What are you changing? Anything.
If I could get them to change one rule, I don't like how, like, and Coach Lip probably can follow me, like, I don't like how once the season ends, we can't be with our team until June, and then once June ends, we can't be with our team until tryouts, and then they've moved tryouts up to where we've only got 2 weeks with them before the first regular season game. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, you look at football, they go through spring ball, then they got all summer and all August before they play their first game. Like, that's why you see a lot of sloppy basketball at the end of the season. You see players getting hurt, things of that nature, because we can't put our hands on them.
Do you think that's one of the things that gives AAU coaches more influence over kids than
absolutely?
High school?
They got more time with them. They got more time with them, and the time that they have with them is during the time where colleges aren't as busy, so to speak. Yeah, they're busy, they're putting in work or whatnot, but they're not in season. You know, the majority of the time we've got our kids, these college coaches are in season, so they're limited in regards to how much time they can spend talking to us about a kid, as opposed to during the summer. You know, they got more free time in July during the live period. They're going to go holler at the AAU coach for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Since we're discussing AAU, I definitely know, and I feel like it's a benefit to us as far as working with our kids and getting them exposure. How do you feel about all this stuff that's going on right now with shoe companies and the tapings of FBI and that type of stuff? What you think about that?
I mean,
okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it just goes back to what I said about, you know, player movement in high school. Like, these shoe companies have been, you know, money been flowing for years, but it's just now coming to the spotlight just because of social media. Like, players have been getting paid forever. And, you know, AAU coaches have been getting paid forever. Hell, you hear stories, you know, uncles getting paid. You know what I mean? Like these shoe companies, they've been involved for years, but you know, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got to. There's some different things they got to fix.
But you know,
at the top.
Here's what's so funny to me. If you just sit back and listen, and I know you're familiar with basketball a lot in California, the numbers that they're talking about right now don't even compare to those numbers that they were talking about out there in the past. You know.
Yeah.
So this $100,000, that's like nothing to them.
No, that's pennies. Yeah.
But
Coach, I had a discussion with a good friend of yours, and we talked about him before we go in there, and I'm not going to mention his name now. But let me give you an example. ESPN comes to Grayson High School.
Mm-hmm.
They set up TV cameras.
Mm-hmm.
They sell commercials. They play Grayson football on a 3.5-hour time block on ESPN on a Friday night, playing IMG Academy to a national audience. Okay? Should Grayson High School receive something out of that other than just maybe paint on the field and a couple $1,000s for letting them have the space? Should your programs and your athletic programs receive something out of that? Because the advertisers are paying ESPN for that. What do you think?
I mean, that's out of my pay grade, but if you're asking me if I feel like our athletic department should get paid for that, absolutely. I mean, you're using our facilities, you know what I mean? You're using our logos, things of that nature. Like, anywhere else they're going to get paid, you know, just because it's a high school? Like, I don't know.
Doug, what do you think?
Well, okay, Coach, I'm sorry. I definitely think we should be paid, and we did get paid. We got paid $1,000 for an ESPN game at our gym. Yeah.
$1,000 for an ESPN game.
Most definitely.
All right, I'm gonna ask both.
So you probably made more than that at concessions.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, because we were playing Pebblebrook, and Colin Sexton, he brought the crowd with him, you know. So
right.
Of course, my crew was not bad either, you know. So yeah,
right,
it was
absolutely.
Full. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask. I'm gonna ask both of you this question right here. Okay, Doug, this is for you. Coach Pierce, this is for you. Okay, Doug, you didn't fight this, I don't guess, much as Coach Pierce probably sees it. Okay, is the disparity in the state of Georgia between the pay for high school football coaches and high school basketball coaches fair?
I almost said a cuss word, but I'm gonna restrain myself. I'm sorry. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there are easily coaches that are on a 12-month contract, where we're not, you know. So.
I mean, Coach Pierce, I'm not talking bad. I'm being real here. We keep it real, okay?
Oh, no, that's what made it funny.
Coach, you know this. Coach Kahn was a saint in the Grayson community, okay? You know that, and I know that. Still, reverent today. Anybody mentions Mickey Kahn, I don't know of another man outside of Mark Rickett has his type of reputation. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good,
absolutely. Well earned.
Is that a good way?
Well earned, yes, sir.
Okay, Doug, you coach with this fella at Wheeler. He was at Wheeler. Jeff Heron ain't coming to Grayson to take Mickey Kahn's spot for free.
No.
Or for first-year coach's salary.
Right. But he knew what he was making.
So is the disparity fair, Coach Pierce?
Well, no, if you're asking me, no, I definitely think basketball coaches should be getting paid more. I mean, if you're any successful coach, especially, you know, I don't want to get into classes and all that, but at the 7A level, if you want to be successful, you got to put in countless hours in the gym.
Yeah.
Year round. Like, even if you don't, like the rule I said I wanted to change earlier with being able to practice with your team, you still got to do individuals and 2-on-1s and 4-on-1s and stuff like that. If you want to win games, you can't just show up a couple weeks during the summer and then show up during the season and expect to win anymore. Like, it's a year-round job. So I definitely feel like, you know, coaches get paid more. But that's why you see a lot of these coaches leaving successful programs to go to other counties that are paying more, or taking positions as athletic directors to get paid more. You know what I mean? We still got families to feed and things of that nature.
You got coaches taking jobs as principals up in Rome, leaving Tiff County. Where did he leave? Go to Rome?
Tiff, yeah.
I think he went to Rome, right?
Yeah, and he's the principal. Now he's coaching basketball and being the principal. Which brings me to my next question. Boosters and all that kind of good stuff. Over at Grayson, you guys are fortunate, I know, in the football world to have some good backers. All you got to do is walk through the stadium. Doug, the reason I know, I know so much about Grayson football. You ready for this? Let me tell you a little story. My company did the Friday Night Lights setup for Kia over there a couple of years ago when the Falcons played there. So I kind of know what goes on over there in the sponsorship world. Do you think schools should be able to sign individual sponsorship rights, or do you think they should be done countywide? I.e., Norcross signs their own deals. They've got a great program over there. Do you think that should be a countywide thing, or do you think where Meadow Creek benefits from it, Berkmar benefits from it, Central benefits from it, or do you think the individual schools ought to be doing it themselves, and whatever happens at the individual schools is the way it is?
In my opinion, I think we could kind of mock the model they're using in some professional sports. Like, absolutely, I feel like the individual schools should be able to, benefit from those type of marketing deals. But I do think there should be some type of revenue sharing, because we are in the same county. We're still supposed to support one another. So, even if it's just a small percentage, I think it should go to a pot and be shared with other schools. Because
what do you think, Doug?
Let Coach finish first, okay?
I'm sorry. I get ahead of myself, Coach.
Some schools aren't in the position to receive that type of help. And, at the end of the day, it's still about the kids,
Yes, sir.
The money could go back to the kids, you know what I mean? But I do feel like, or whatever, the majority should go to the school, but I do think we should share a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know where that sharing would come from, because I'm thinking if I have busted my behind to make this program where people want to be recognized as far as sponsorship and advertisement, then that's something that I've been able to create. So like when I say I don't know where it would come from, let's say a school that's not doing well in athletics, where would that extra money come from to support them, and what's it for? Is that going to make more kids come out for that program there?
Well, no, here's what I'm kind of getting at, and here's what I'm thinking, okay? I'll call the name of a school out, okay? Coach, let's just say Berkmar, okay? For instance, I don't know Berkmar's record. I don't know how they did this year. I don't know if they're in the state playoffs or not, okay? Yeah. But let's say there's a kid at Berkmar that is, through no fault of his own, he lives in that district, okay? And he plays basketball at Berkmar. And he's good enough to play at Grayson. He's good enough to play at Norcross. He's good enough to play anywhere within the county. Because those programs at Grayson and Norcross and folks like that are so much better, shouldn't that kid be allowed to go play at the better programs just like a kid that's good in fine arts or in drama or in science and math? They transfer with no problem. What I'm getting at is, do you think it's fair for those kids to move over? What do you think, Coach?
Coach Pierce?
I mean, under normal circumstances, yeah. I mean,
I can't hear you, Coach.
Schools. I was just saying, if a kid wants to switch schools for fine arts and all that, then it's not that much of a hoopla. But we still, the rules are the rules. I'm not.
When's the last time? When's the last time your band director bitched because somebody moved over to another school because they was first trumpet for Grayson High School? Now they done moved over to fine arts, and they first trumpet at the best fine arts school in Gwinnett County. When's the last time that's happened? That's what I'm getting at here. It's just totally unfair.
Yeah, probably never, but it's just another situation where we know what we signed up for. Like, GHSA put their rules into place. It's up to us to abide by them.
Yes.
Coach, I love asking you guys these questions, and if I didn't have great insight from Coach Doug sitting here from him week after week, and then knowing teachers myself, and then knowing how the advertising world works, I probably would never ask such things. But it's a swampy area. It really is. I mean, I don't think there's no right or wrong right here. I said this on last week's show when Doug and I were talking about the FBI. I said the fact that the FBI is worried about what college kids are getting paid, and we got high school shootings going on down in Florida that the FBI knew about, shame on them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shame on them. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Doug, what you got?
Well, back to the question that you asked. I'd say if a parent was considering transferring their son or daughter, they should at least look at what that program has coming back the following year.
But some folks can't afford to move.
That's true. And
I mean, is it plausible for an underprivileged kid that goes to a South Cobb, an Osborne, or somewhere like that doesn't have the benefit of a Coach Pierce, of a Coach Lipscomb, of a Coach Wallace, of a coach of that magnitude? Is it that kid's fault, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
If we're all about the kids, GHSA, you get what I'm saying, Coach Pierce? Does that make any sense to you?
No, I understand totally what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's nothing about these other folks. I mean, you came from a program, as we set the tone at the beginning of the show. You came from a program, went to a football school. You had a losing record when you got there. You've built the program. There's plenty of ways, and I'm sure there was a kid or two that was a good basketball player that maybe mysteriously, we won't mention their names because we don't know their names, but mysteriously didn't show up at Grayson his ninth grade year because Grayson didn't have a terrific basketball team because there's a good football team. And maybe they ended up in another county, or maybe they ended up over at Loganville Christian. There was a big old fella that played for Georgia Tech that ended up over there that was supposed to play at Grayson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's just, I'm probably beating a dead horse, Doug.
Well, no, you're not. I mean, because that's gonna continue. It's gonna continue.
I think the next 10 years is gonna see a big change in the way high school basketball works and the way college basketball. I think it's gonna start in college, and I think it's gonna work its way down.
Well, I don't mean any offense by this, but something happened like that last week with Tucker, where somehow they found out that 6 or 7 kids didn't live in that school district, so they had to forfeit their games. I don't know how many it was, Coach. Do you? I don't know.
I don't remember seeing how many games they had to forfeit, but I did see that they basically forfeited their opportunity to play in the state tournament. So the two teams they beat ended up getting to play each other to play in the Elite Eight. I did see that. I don't know how many games they had to forfeit, though.
Yeah.
I just always find it interesting, Coach, that schools like Marist and St. Pius always got a top football team in DeKalb County. But yet kids can live anywhere they want and go there, and they ain't going to say nothing to them for transferring from Tucker to St. Pius, which is, 5 miles down the road? Or they ain't going to say nothing in the world about a kid playing basketball at Chamblee going to Marist, which is 5 miles down the road? But if a kid transfers from Chamblee to Tucker, man, you can't do that.
It's a problem.
Or if a kid transfers from South Gwinnett to Grayson, oh, man, there might be some improprieties there. But if the kid goes from Grayson to Wesleyan, ain't nobody saying nothing. That's just what I've always. And Coach, let me tell you something. I can speak to this because my son went to private school. Okay, I kind of got the feel on it. So anyway, I know I'm just rambling on, Coach. I need to shut up. Doug, what you got, man? Come on, let's lighten up on Coach. Let's get it fun in here.
Well,
man.
Let's just say this right here. I know we're getting close to the end, but Coach, earlier you brought up something that now you feel like you're the hunted team because you've increased and you've gotten better, more consistent, and it's throughout time you've built that. But look at the other end of that spectrum. When I first started coaching, yeah, we were hunted, but we were prey. I mean, they wanted to eat us up. I mean, like I told these dudes, we were like the homecoming game, the senior night, pushed up early, that kind of stuff. The dance night, because we're playing Wheeler, so like I said, that lasted 1 year. But I tell you, I know you prefer being hunted because you're going to give them a good game as opposed to the team coming in. Everybody know they're going to play a whole lot. We don't want to be that guy no more. I think what you've done is very, good, and you deserve to be told that. I know sometimes we don't want to talk about ourselves, but you let your record speak for itself. And the position you're in right now shows that you got a heck of a program, So, my hat's off to you. The team you played was really good, and you beat them, and they had got you first, and you came back when it really, really counted. So, like I say, my hat's off to you.
Hey, man, like when we first started, coming from you, that, it means a lot. I appreciate that. Because you understand what's going on. I appreciate that.
And, Coach, watching your program from afar, congratulations on building a basketball powerhouse in the state of Georgia. And you've done something that, in my years of living in this state, few men have done by going into a football power and building a basketball power. So, congratulations.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it hadn't been easy, but I've man. My coaching staff, they work hard, and like I told you earlier, man, my kids play hard for me, man. I'll always appreciate that.
I know we're down.
They go hard.
I know we're down to the finals, Coach. The final part of the playoffs, not the finals, but the final part of the Final Four. Coach, for those out there that want to know about Grayson, and they're going to be watching Grayson in the Final Four, what should people be looking out for? What should people be watching for? And we'll let you close it out that way.
You're going to see an aggressive ball club, both offensively, defensively in the glass. We preach to our guards to be aggressive. We're going to get downhill. Bigs control the paint, and just playing for each other. You can't really artificially manufacture that aspect. It's all organic. They do play for each other. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Man, Coach, I appreciate you keeping it real this afternoon and answering straight up.
Listen, that's the only way I know how to do it.
Hey, man, sometimes people tell us, and you're going to laugh at this, Coach, they say, man, you send us these questions and you come in with curveballs that we never dreamed. And you know what? That's the thing about the social media age. Doug and I can be that ant on an elephant's behind and get the real story out there, because you guys go through hell sometimes. I'm married to a teacher. Y'all, Doug gets. I've known Doug here for a while now, and me and him have been doing this show, and I can tell you from knowing his heart and meeting him, he coached basketball for the right reasons, and there's so many people out there that are fans that think, oh, that Grayson coach got ulterior motives. He's got ulterior motives. At the end of the day, your motives are one thing: get kids to the next level and get them an education. Because you ain't getting rich, okay? You ain't getting rich.
So, no, not at all.
Unless you're a football coach.
Well, in closing, Coach, man.
Hey, you know what I'd do if I was you, Coach Pierce? Let me tell you what I'd do.
What's up?
I'd call Mickey on the phone and say, Coach, you got that job up there at Clemson. Can you ask the basketball coach if he needs some help too? I'll move up there.
Listen, don't give me any ideas.
No, people at Grayson would hate me for saying that. They love you over there, and thank you for bringing a winning program to the county. And you're a good man. You're a good man. Thank you for joining us. We'll tweet you out the show, and we'll go from there. Doug?
All right. I'll talk to you later, Coach.
All right. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
You too, brother.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
All right.
Boy, I tell you what, Doug, that was a good interview right there. Good interview. Let's just and he's done something few people have done, Doug. He's gone in. Usually a school's a basketball school or a football school. We talked about Mike Thompson going into McEachern when it was a football school and building a basketball powerhouse. He went into, and McEachern, let's face it, they've always been a good football school. He went into a state powerhouse that had won state championship with a nationally known football coach, and in 6 years built something and continues to build. We ain't even seen the best of Grayson yet, have we?
Oh, no. They're young, and they're going to continue to get better.
Well, we went a little long with the interview, but hey, it's always good to do Coach's Corner and ask these direct questions, ain't it?
Yes.
So, anyway, got anything you want to add?
Just a great show.
Good show as always. Nick Paparelli, our producer, been over here just working hard, making sure everything's sounding good. Nick, what'd you think of today?
That was pretty good.
Pretty good. Thank you, Nick. Was it real good or was it pretty good?
I'm just keeping it real. It was real good.
Oh, man, you're listening to Coach's Corner on Real Life Basketball, heard every Friday. You know, let me say this. Coach Tiny up there at Lincoln in New York, man, I tell you what, you're going to laugh at this. You can always go back and listen to our shows, but that show caught fire in New York City about Tuesday of this week. Wouldn't you say, Nick?
Yeah.
Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. And, man, it's been taking off like crazy. So if you look at our Real Life Basketball, if you go to our podcast thing, we've got great coaches. And Tiny was on with us 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So we try to keep these shows where we're not just talking about the modern day, what's going on right there. We're trying to keep talk about where they're relevant, whether you listen to them today or next week. So go back and listen to some of our old shows. You know, Coach Mike Thompson, I'm going to have to go back and listen to his show. You know, he lost Norcross last night.
But then again, you look at Phyllis Arthur, Dr. Phyllis Arthur, who came from behind last night to get into the Final Four.
That's right. So it's fun. It's fun what we do. And we got some other great shows coming up. Every Tuesday and Friday, you hear a new show on Real Life Basketball. Thank you guys for listening. Real Life Basketball and the Coach's Corner is a product of BG Ad Group. Thank you for our sponsors, the BG Podcast Network, Julio Jones, Kia, Carriage Automotive Group. This is Darren Sutherland, my co-host, the legend Doug Lipscomb. We're done for another day, Doug. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.